She walked into the dealership in quiet confidence, dressed simply in jeans and a plain white blouse. No makeup, no flashy jewelry, just a kind smile and eyes full of hope. All she wanted was to take a look at a car she'd been dreaming about for years. But the moment she stepped inside, the salesman barely glanced her way. One even chuckled under his breath as she walked toward the luxury section. "Ma'am, those cars aren't for window shopping," one of them said with a smirk, blocking her path. She paused, confused. "I'm here to buy," she replied softly. But they didn't believe her. They sized her up, made assumptions, and brushed her off like she didn't belong. No greetings, no offer of help, just cold stares and fake smiles. She stood there for a moment, her heart sinking. The rejection stung more than she expected. It wasn't just about a car anymore. It was about how they made her feel, like she wasn't good enough. Still, she didn't argue or raise her voice. Instead, she calmly reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. A short call, a quiet conversation, and then silence. Minutes later, a sleek black Rolls-Royce pulled up to the entrance. Out stepped a sharply dressed man, his presence commanding attention. The same salesman who had ignored her just moments ago suddenly rushed to the door, eager to greet him. But they froze when he brushed past them and wrapped his arm around her, kissing her forehead gently. Then, without saying a word, he handed over a card, matte black, gleaming under the lights. The room shifted, eyes widened, mouths dropped. And just like that, everything changed. But what happened next? You'll want to stick around for that. The card practically glowed in the salesman's trembling hands. It wasn't just any card. It was a centurion, the kind that didn't ask for limits. Only a handful of people in the world carried one. Now the same woman they had mocked stood at the center of attention, but she didn't look smug, just quiet, calm, watching. One of the salesmen, clearly shaken, tried to recover. We didn't realize who you were, sir," he stammered, glancing nervously between the man and his wife. The husband said nothing. He didn't need to. His eyes said it all. The kind of look that made grown men straighten up and rethink their choices. He turned to his wife. "You still want the car?" She gave a soft nod, but her eyes weren't on the car anymore. They were on the people around her, the ones who had decided her worth based on how she looked, not who she was. You see, her name is Maya. Raised in a small town, she never cared much for designer labels or spotlight. She met Daniel, now a tech billionaire, long before the world knew his name. Back then, he was just a guy with big dreams and a busted laptop. They built their life together from scratch. No shortcuts, no handouts. Maya never flaunted their wealth because, to her, real richness was about kindness, not cars or cards. But today, standing in that dealership, something inside her shifted. Daniel could sense it too. He had seen her cry quietly at home after being dismissed in other places before, restaurants, boutiques, even hotels. People rarely saw past the surface. And now the room was silent, heavy with guilt and second guesses. But Maya hadn't said a word yet. What she did next would leave the entire showroom speechless. Maya took a step forward, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor. Every eye in the room followed her now, the same people who moments ago couldn't be bothered to even greet her. She walked past the row of luxury cars, not saying a word, her expression unreadable. Daniel stayed close, but he didn't speak either. He knew this moment wasn't his. It was hers. One of the senior managers had joined the scene now, whispering urgently to the staff, probably trying to figure out how such a valuable client had been treated so poorly. But it was too late. The damage was done. What none of them knew was that this wasn't the first time Maya had been underestimated. At charity galas, people assumed she was the assistant, not the founder of the very non-profit the event was supporting. At business meetings, they looked to Daniel for answers, not realizing Maya had written the business plan that got their company off the ground. The same story, again and again, judged for her simple appearance, overlooked because she didn't flaunt her wealth. But what stung the most today wasn't how they treated her. It was how quickly they changed the moment they saw the black card. It wasn't respect. They hadn't earned that yet. It was fear, panic, desperation to fix what couldn't be fixed with fake smiles. Meanwhile, one of the younger employees, a woman in her early 20s, stood frozen near the corner. She had watched the whole thing, biting her lip nervously. She had wanted to step in earlier, but didn't. Now, guilt weighed on her chest. Maybe she saw a bit of herself in Maya. And Maya noticed. Their eyes met for just a second. The room remained tense, waiting. But Maya wasn't finished yet. Not even close. Maya finally stopped in front of the sleek black SUV she originally came to see. The same one she was told wasn't for window shoppers. She ran her hand lightly across the hood, her fingers tracing the shine of the polished metal. The silence in the showroom was thick. No laughter now, no dismissive comments, just stiff bodies and anxious faces. Daniel stood behind her watching. He had seen Maya endure so many of these moments in silence. But this time, something was different. She wasn't just brushing it off. She was standing in it, owning it. The senior manager approached with a nervous smile, holding a folder. "We can prepare the paperwork right away. We'll include a premium service package, no charge. And of course, complimentary delivery." His voice trailed off when Maya slowly turned around. "I didn't ask for extras," she said gently, but firmly. "All I wanted was someone to help me." Her words were calm, but they cut deeper than any shouting could. The staff shifted uncomfortably. A few stepped back. The young woman near the walls still hadn't moved. Maya turned to her. "What's your name?" she asked. The girl blinked, startled. "Nina," she replied quietly. "Were you the only one who thought about saying something?" Nina nodded, cheeks flushed. I didn't know if I should." Maya gave her a small smile. "Next time, trust your gut." Then she turned back to the others. "How many people let me walk in here every day, only to be turned away because you think you know who can afford what?" No one answered. Even the manager looked down, unable to hold her gaze. Daniel took a slow breath, knowing Maya was about to make a decision that would shift everything, not just for them, but for this entire dealership. And then, just as everyone leaned in, waiting to see what she'd say or do next, Maya spoke again, but it wasn't what anyone expected. Maya looked around the room one more time. Her voice was steady, but there was something sharper in her tone now. "I will be buying the car today," she said, her words landing like a pin drop in the silence. Gasps echoed softly. Even Daniel looked over at her, eyebrows raised. He hadn't seen that coming either. The manager opened his mouth to respond, but Maya lifted a hand, stopping him. "I came here to spend money. You all made sure I felt like I didn't belong the moment I walked through the door. Now that you've seen a black card and a wealthy husband, suddenly I'm someone worth talking to." She shook her head slowly. "I don't need a car that badly. But will asterisk be talking to your corporate office." Whispers began behind the counter. Phones were subtly picked up, fingers moving fast, likely trying to figure out who exactly she was, and more importantly, what kind of trouble was now sitting in their lobby. Then came the twist. Daniel stepped forward, pulling something from his inner jacket pocket. A document, neatly folded. "Actually," he said, handing it to the stunned manager, "we were planning to invest in a local luxury auto group. One of the branches was under review for acquisition. Guess which one?" The manager's hands trembled as he unfolded the paper. His face drained of color. The dealership's logo was right there at the top, his own. Everyone froze. This wasn't just a customer complaint anymore. This was ownership level. The staff looked at one another, tension rising like a wave. If Maya walked out now, it wouldn't just be a lost sale. It could be the end of their jobs, their reputation, everything. And Maya hadn't even made her final decision yet. That she was still holding close. The manager stood frozen, staring at the paper in his hands. His voice wavered as he spoke. You're the buyers?" His eyes darted between Daniel and Maya, disbelief written all over his face. Daniel gave a single nod. We were set to sign the deal next week, but now, he glanced at Maya, it's her call. All eyes shifted back to her. Maya looked calm, but the storm inside her was still there. Years of being overlooked, dismissed, judged. This moment wasn't just about cars. It was about every time someone had treated her like she didn't matter. She turned toward Nina, the young employee who had stayed silent but had wanted to speak up. How long have you worked here? Almost a year, Nina replied, clearly nervous. Maya paused. How would you feel about running this place? A stunned silence hit the room. I'm serious, Maya continued. You saw something wrong and didn't act, but you wanted too. That matters. Integrity isn't about never being afraid. It's about learning to speak up, even when it's hard. The manager stammered, You can't just replace me. But we can, Daniel interrupted, voiced sharp now. If the sale goes through, ownership changes. Leadership too. We don't run businesses that treat people like numbers. Maya stepped forward. I don't want to fire everyone. I want change. Respect for every customer, no matter what they wear or how they walk in. And I want Nina in charge of making that happen. Nina looked like she might cry. But just as it seemed like things were wrapping up, Daniel's phone buzzed. He glanced down, then showed Maya the screen. An alert from another dealership, across town. A different one, with the same kind of complaints. Discrimination, dismissal. Maya narrowed her eyes. Looks like this was just the beginning. Maya stared at the phone screen for a long second, then let out a quiet sigh. It's never just one place, she murmured, almost to herself. Daniel nodded. They had seen this pattern before, too many times. Places that claim to offer luxury experiences, but only to people who fit a certain image. She turned back to the staff. This isn't about one dealership. It's about a culture that needs fixing. You don't know who's walking through your doors. You don't know their story. But you treat them based on assumptions, not respect. The room stayed quiet, but something had shifted. Guilt had given way to understanding. Not all of them, but some. And that was a start. Maya and Daniel decided to move forward with the acquisition, but only under one condition: full leadership retraining across every branch, including the one across town. Maya didn't just want to own the business, she wanted to change it from the inside out, and she meant it. Nina accepted the promotion with teary eyes and a promise to never stay quiet again. She became the kind of manager who saw people, not price tags. Under her lead, things slowly changed. Customers of all backgrounds felt welcome, and it didn't take long before word spread. Maya never went back to buy that car. She didn't need it anymore. The real win wasn't a vehicle. It was knowing she'd turned a moment of humiliation into something bigger than herself. For everyone watching, let this be the reminder. Kindness doesn't wear a label, and real power doesn't need to shout. Sometimes, the quietest voice in the room is the one that ends up changing everything. And that's the story of the simple woman, the black card, and a lesson that no one saw coming.